Welcome, gents. Have you ever felt like you are carrying two completely different lives inside you, yet both are equally real? That is the reality of a Sigma male. He does not live in one dimension. Inside him exists both a monk and a mercenary, and the constant balance between these two sides is what makes his life extraordinary. The monk in him is the quiet force. He values solitude, not because he runs from the world, but because he understands the strength that comes from being alone. This side of him reflects, questions, and chooses clarity over noise. It is the monk that teaches him to pause, to sharpen his mind, and to remain unshaken when life throws storms his way. The monk is not weak. He is the foundation that makes the mercenary side possible. The mercenary in him is the part that acts. When life demands courage, he does not hesitate. When he must defend his values, he does not flinch. This side is strategic, fearless, and unrelenting. While the monk prepares him with patience and discipline, the mercenary moves with precision and strength. Together they create a man who can bend without breaking and strike without warning when it is necessary. If you recognize this duality within yourself, take it as a gift. You are not at war with yourself. You are equipped with two powers that most men will never master. Nurture the monk, sharpen the mercenary. That balance is where your true greatness lies. Join me, gents, as we dive into 13 powerful ways you carry both the spirit of the monk and the drive of the mercenary. Number 1, the monk keeps him humble, the mercenary keeps him untouchable. That may sound like a strange mix, but this is exactly the kind of life Sigma men live. Imagine carrying two different engines in one body. One runs quietly, steady and calm, while the other roars to life when it is time to move. Both are necessary and both make him who he is. The monk in him is not about sitting on a mountain wearing robes and humming. It is about humility in daily life. It is the calm voice that tells him not to overreact when someone cuts him off in traffic. It is the patience that keeps him from wasting energy on pointless arguments. The monk in him reminds him that ego is a trap, and chasing the approval of others is a never-ending game with no prize. You could say the monk is like that friend who keeps telling you to drink water and mind your business, quiet, but always right. Now the mercenary is a whole different story. This side is sharp, tactical, and ready for action. Life can throw surprises, and while the monk gives him inner peace, the mercenary makes sure he is not an easy target. When people test his limits, the mercenary side steps forward, not with loud threats, but with clear action. Think of it like the difference between saying, "Don't mess with me," and actually showing that you cannot be messed with. The mercenary does not boast, but he gets results. Here is where the magic lies. If he only had the monk, people might mistake his calmness for weakness. If he only had the mercenary, he might become hard and lose touch with himself. But together, they form the perfect balance. One teaches him to stay grounded, the other ensures he cannot be shaken. And maybe that is the secret many men miss in life. It is not about being soft or being hard. It is about knowing when to be water and when to be fire. Now tell me, have you found your monk and your mercenary yet, or are they still fighting each other inside you? Let me know in the comments section. Number 2, he can sit still for hours in contemplation, then move like lightning when action calls. That is the paradox of the Sigma male, and it is something that confuses a lot of people around him. On one hand, you might find him lost in thought, quiet and almost invisible. On the other hand, when the situation demands it, he reacts with such speed and precision that it feels like he was planning it the whole time. Think of it like watching a cat. One minute it is sitting in the corner staring at the wall as if it is solving the mysteries of the universe, and the next second it launches across the room to grab a fly you did not even notice. That is how the Sigma mind works. Stillness is not laziness. It is preparation. He spends hours thinking, analyzing, and observing, not because he is stuck, but because he is sharpening his next move. In everyday life, this shows up in ways people rarely expect. At work, for example, colleagues may assume he is too quiet during meetings. They wonder if he even has an opinion, but when the time comes to solve a problem, he delivers an answer so sharp and effective that it changes the entire conversation. Or in friendships, he may sit back listening while others talk endlessly, but when he finally speaks, everyone realizes he has been 10 steps ahead the whole time. The beauty of this trait is that it balances patience with precision. Most people either rush into things without thinking or think so much that they never act. The Sigma male manages to do both ends of the spectrum. He can wait as long as needed, but the moment it is time to act, he does not hesitate. And maybe that is what makes him unpredictable. You never really know if he's going to stay silent or suddenly flip the table with one decisive move. If anything, it keeps life around him entertaining. One moment he looks like a philosopher sipping tea, and the next he is the chess player who just called checkmate while you were still learning the rules. Number 3, the monk prepares his spirit, the mercenary prepares his strategy. This is not just a poetic line, it is the daily reality of a Sigma male, and if you pay attention, you will see how this balance shows up in ordinary life. One part of him is focused on keeping his inner world clean, calm, and unshaken, while the other part is constantly sharpening his ability to deal with the world outside. The monk side is all about spirit. It is the reason he does not explode when things go wrong, the reason he can keep his cool when others are losing their minds. Picture him waiting in line at the bank while the system is down. People are shouting, some are pacing, others are ready to fight the poor cashier. Meanwhile, he is standing there calm, maybe even humming a song in his head because the monk in him has trained him to value peace over panic. That spiritual discipline is his secret weapon against unnecessary stress. But then comes the mercenary. This side is not about peace, it is about precision. When it is time to make a move, he does not go in blindly. The mercenary in him studies the field, calculates the risks, and makes sure every step has a purpose. At work, for instance, he may sit quietly while a project seems like a mess. Then, when the deadline looms, he pulls out a plan so sharp and detailed that it makes everyone else wonder what they were even doing the whole time. That is strategy. Together, these two sides make him hard to beat. The monk keeps him from being ruled by fear or ego, while the mercenary ensures he is never caught off guard. It is like having a wise teacher and a battle-hardened soldier living in the same body. One makes sure his heart does not get poisoned, the other makes sure his goals do not get stolen. And let's be honest, we could all use a bit of that balance. Because if you only live like the monk, you risk becoming too passive. If you only live like the mercenary, you risk burning out. But when both are alive in you, life becomes a game you are prepared to play on every level. Number 4. His monk side whispers patience, his mercenary side commands timing. That right there is the secret recipe that makes a Sigma male unpredictable yet incredibly effective. Patience and timing may sound like the same thing, but they are worlds apart. Patience is the ability to wait without breaking down. Timing is knowing exactly when to move so that the move counts. The monk inside him is the master of patience. This is the side that keeps him calm when life tries to frustrate him. Imagine sitting in traffic for 2 hours while people are honking, shouting, and even trying to squeeze into lanes that do not exist. Most would lose their cool, but the monk in him leans back, maybe even starts humming to a tune only he hears, because he understands that rushing changes nothing. Patience is his way of saying, I will not let life drag me into unnecessary battles. But patience alone is not enough. That is where the mercenary side steps in. Timing is everything, and this part of him knows when the perfect moment arrives. Think of a football match. You can run around the field endlessly and still achieve nothing. But one well-timed pass or strike can change the whole game. That is how the mercenary side of him works. It does not waste energy. It does not play for the crowd. It waits for the exact opening, then strikes with precision. This balance shows up in daily decisions too. The monk tells him not to rush into relationships, but the mercenary side knows exactly when to step forward and say, this one is worth it. The monk tells him not to panic about money, while the mercenary side makes sure he invests at the right time instead of gambling everything away. It is a beautiful dance. Too much patience without timing turns into wasted chances. Too much timing without patience turns into reckless moves. But when both sides work together, he becomes a man who never forces life, yet never misses his moment. And let's be honest, that is a skill everyone wishes they had. Number 5. The monk keeps him free from the chains of ego. The mercenary ensures no one else chains him. This is one of the deepest truths about the Sigma male, and it is what separates him from so many others. Ego is tricky. It makes people think they are winning when, in reality, they are just busy protecting an image that doesn't even exist. The monk side of him refuses to fall for that trap. He does not need to prove he is smarter, stronger, or richer than anyone. His peace comes from knowing himself, not from parading his achievements. Think about daily life. How many arguments start because someone's ego gets bruised? A simple disagreement can turn into a full-on war because no one wants to back down. The monk in him laughs at that game. He would rather keep his calm than waste energy trying to win over nonsense. You could say the monk is like that friend who never joins drama but somehow still ends up being the one everyone respects. But then there is the mercenary, and this is where things get interesting. While the monk helps him drop his own ego, the mercenary makes sure nobody tries to trap him under theirs. People love control. Some do it with sweet words, others with manipulation, and some with outright pressure. The mercenary in him spots that immediately and shuts it down. It could be a boss trying to overwork him, a friend trying to guilt trip him, or a partner playing mind games. The mercenary side is his shield. It refuses to let anyone pull strings over his life. Together they create balance. The monk keeps him from being a slave to his own pride, while the mercenary keeps him from being a slave to anyone else's. It is like having a personal referee inside him, making sure he is not fouled by ego from within or control from outside. And if we are being honest, most people either fall on one side or the other. Some are chained by their own pride, others are chained by the expectations of others. But a Sigma male carries both the monk and the mercenary, and that is why he walks free. Number 6. In his body, the monk ensures he does not lose himself. The mercenary ensures the world does not take him. That balance is rare, and it is the reason a Sigma male can walk through life without crumbling under pressure or being swallowed by expectations. One side protects him from the chaos inside, the other protects him from the chaos outside. Together they make sure he stays whole in a world that is always trying to break people apart. The monk is the anchor within him. This is the part that keeps him grounded when life feels heavy. Everyone knows how easy it is to lose yourself. You get caught in chasing money, chasing people, or chasing approval, and before you know it, you are exhausted but not fulfilled. The monk whispers, "Slow down, breathe, remember who you are." That inner discipline makes sure he does not wake up one day wondering how he became a stranger to himself. Think of it like having a compass that always points him back to his true north, no matter how far he wanders. Then comes the mercenary. This side is not about reflection, it is about defense. The world is full of people who want to pull strings, drain energy, or use others for their own gain. The mercenary is the part of him that says, "Not me." When someone tries to push him into a corner, the mercenary makes sure he pushes back. Imagine a boss trying to dump extra work on him because you are the reliable one. The monk might remind him not to get angry, but the mercenary makes sure he sets boundaries and does not get walked over. It is this combination that keeps him untouchable. Without the monk, he might become hardened and lose his soul. Without the mercenary, he might get taken advantage of by the world. But with both alive in him, he stays free and sharp. And let's be real, isn't that what most people secretly want? To live without losing themselves, yet still strong enough that nobody can take them for granted. The Sigma male lives that balance every single day. Number 7. The monk in him seeks silence, while the mercenary thrives in chaos, yet both are guided by the same discipline. At first glance, those two sides seem like total opposites. One craves peace and stillness, the other embraces noise and battle. But here's the secret. They are not fighting against each other. They are both working toward the same goal, mastery over himself and mastery over life. The monk is the quiet force. This is the side of him that enjoys shutting out the noise of the world. Maybe it is taking a long walk without headphones. Maybe it is sipping coffee alone in the morning before the world wakes up. The monk side teaches him to value silence because silence sharpens awareness. When he is quiet, he notices what others miss. He sees patterns in people, understands situations more clearly, and learns to control his reactions. It is like recharging his mental battery in the simplest yet most powerful way. But then there is the mercenary. This side thrives when things get messy. While others panic in chaos, he almost comes alive in it. Picture an office meltdown, deadlines missed, people shouting, emails flying left and right. Most people lose their heads, but his mercenary side switches on. He focuses, organizes, and cuts through the mess like a blade. The same discipline that kept him still as a monk now makes him unstoppable in battle. Chaos does not scare him because he has trained for it in silence. The beauty here is discipline. It is the bridge between silence and chaos. Without discipline, silence turns into laziness and chaos turns into destruction. But with discipline, silence becomes clarity and chaos becomes opportunity. That is why the monk and the mercenary, as different as they are, never truly clash. They serve the same master within him. And maybe that is something we can all learn. Life will give us moments of silence and moments of chaos. The real question is, are you disciplined enough to handle both? Because if you are, then like the Sigma male, you will find yourself unshaken, no matter what side of life you face. Number 8, he carries a mind that meditates in stillness but sharpens like a blade when conflict arises. That is the dual nature of the Sigma male, and it is what makes him stand out. Most people lean too far in one direction. Some spend their lives avoiding conflict, hiding in comfort zones, while others are constantly in fight mode, picking battles that drain them. A Sigma is different. He knows when to be still and when to strike, and that balance makes him dangerous in the best way. The stillness is not emptiness, it is training. Picture him sitting quietly, maybe with a book, maybe just staring out of a window. To an outsider, it may look like wasted time, but in reality, he is sharpening his awareness. That quiet space allows him to sort through his thoughts, see patterns in situations, and prepare himself emotionally for whatever might come. It is like a soldier polishing his weapon during peacetime. Nobody sees the value until the battle arrives. And when conflict does arise, the blade comes out. The same mind that sat in calm reflection suddenly shifts into focus. He does not lash out blindly or let emotions control him. Instead, he acts with precision. Imagine a heated argument at work where everyone is shouting over each other. While others lose control, he waits, studies the situation, then delivers one sharp statement that cuts through all the noise. That is the blade. Not flashy, not loud, but effective enough to silence the room. In everyday life, this balance is gold. It means he can handle stress without crumbling and confront challenges without hesitation. One moment he is calm enough to meditate through the chaos of life. The next he is sharp enough to handle the chaos head on. It is the combination of inner peace and outer strength. And maybe that is the real lesson here. Stillness without action is weakness. Action without stillness is recklessness. But when you have both, like the Sigma male, you become the kind of person who cannot be broken by silence or by conflict. You adapt, you endure, and when necessary, you strike with precision. Number 9, his monk side retreats to observe. His mercenary side advances to conquer. That simple line holds the essence of how a Sigma male moves through life. On the surface, it may look like he is holding back when he steps aside or stays quiet, but in reality, he is gathering information. He knows the power of watching before acting. The monk in him understands that you see more from the sidelines than in the middle of chaos. Observation is his secret weapon. Imagine a group discussion where everyone is throwing out ideas, some brilliant, some ridiculous. The Sigma male often sits back quietly, letting others talk. To the untrained eye, it looks like disinterest. But his monk side is studying every word, every slip, every hidden agenda. By the time he does speak, he already knows where the weaknesses are and which direction will win. That is retreat with purpose, not retreat in defeat. Then the mercenary shows up. Once he has all the information, he does not hesitate. He advances with precision. This could be in business, relationships, or even personal challenges. The mercenary side of him knows that observing without acting is pointless. So when the timing is right, he pushes forward with confidence. Picture a chess player who has been silent for most of the match, then suddenly makes a move that completely changes the game. That is how his mercenary side conquers. The beauty of this duality is that one side fuels the other. Without the monk's observation, his moves would be reckless. Without the mercenary's drive, his observations would remain just thoughts. Together, they make him unstoppable. He knows when to hold back and when to strike, and that balance keeps him from wasting energy on battles that do not matter. And let's be honest, this is a lesson anyone can use. Most people rush in without watching, or they watch forever and never act. The Sigma male carries both sides. He retreats to see the truth and then advances to make it his own. That is why he rarely loses. Number 10, the monk in him values peace. The mercenary ensures it is not stolen. That is the quiet genius of the Sigma male. He does not see peace as some luxury that happens once in a while. For him, peace is the foundation of everything. Without it, his thoughts scatter, his energy drains, and life becomes noise. The monk side of him is the guardian of that inner calm. He finds joy in simple things that others often overlook: a quiet morning, a slow walk, or even just sitting in his own company. Peace is his natural state. But here is the problem with peace. The world is always trying to disturb it. People will test boundaries, drag drama into his life, or push their insecurities onto him. That is where the mercenary steps forward. This side of him does not fight for chaos. It fights to protect what the monk has built. Imagine someone constantly trying to poke at him with unnecessary arguments. The monk might ignore the first few attempts, but if it keeps coming, the mercenary draws a line so sharp it makes the other person back off instantly. Peace is not given, it is defended. Think of it like a garden. The monk is the one planting flowers, keeping the soil rich and enjoying the beauty. The mercenary is the one making sure no one tramples on it or tries to steal from it. Without the monk, there would be nothing worth protecting. Without the mercenary, the garden would be destroyed. Together, they make peace sustainable. In everyday life, this balance shows up in subtle but powerful ways. At work, the monk side helps him stay calm under stress, while the mercenary side keeps colleagues from dumping their responsibilities onto him. In relationships, the monk brings harmony, while the mercenary makes sure respect is never taken away. And here is the part most people miss. Peace is not about avoiding conflict. It is about being strong enough to stop anyone from robbing you of it. The Sigma male understands that peace is priceless, and that is why he guards it with both the wisdom of a monk and the strength of a mercenary. Number 11. He prays inwardly like a monk, but fights outwardly like a mercenary when principles are threatened. This is one of the sharpest contrasts in the Sigma male's nature, and it is what makes him so hard to predict. At his core, he is deeply reflective. He has an inner dialogue that feels like prayer, not necessarily in a religious sense, but in the way he constantly checks himself, questions his motives, and grounds his heart. That is the monk in him, quiet, thoughtful, and focused on doing what is right rather than what is popular. But here is where people often misjudge him. They see the calm side and assume he will always stay that way. They think his silence means he will never react. That is where the mercenary comes alive. The moment his principles are crossed, he stops being the man of stillness and becomes the man of action. If you try to manipulate him, lie to him, or push him into betraying his values, you will see the mercenary step forward without hesitation. Think of it like a father who rarely raises his voice at home. Most of the time he is gentle, patient, and calm. But if someone tries to harm his child, that same man transforms instantly. That is how the Sigma male's monk and mercenary work together. One protects his inner compass, the other protects the world outside from violating it. In everyday life, this balance is powerful. At work, he may quietly accept extra pressure without complaining, but if someone questions his integrity or tries to drag his name through the mud, he will fight back with every tool available. In relationships, he may be forgiving and patient, but the moment respect disappears, the mercenary cuts ties without looking back. It is a combination that keeps him both grounded and untouchable. The monk ensures he stays true to himself, while the mercenary ensures no one forces him to betray that truth. Together they make him someone who does not start wars, but will never back down when his values are on the line. Number 12. His monk side nourishes his soul, his mercenary side protects his boundaries. That single line captures the secret to why Sigma males can live in such a balanced and resilient way. Most people neglect one of these sides. They either focus too much on self-care and end up soft when life tests them, or they become so focused on defense that they forget to actually enjoy living. The Sigma male has found a way to do both. The monk in him is what keeps his soul full. This is the part that enjoys quiet moments, the small joys that others often overlook. Maybe it is reading late into the night, journaling thoughts nobody else will ever see, or simply enjoying a walk without distractions. This side is not about luxury or escape. It is about feeding the inner world so he does not run on empty. You could say the monk is like the friend who always reminds you to charge your battery before you end up drained and snapping at everyone. But then comes the mercenary. Life has a way of testing boundaries, and without protection, even the strongest soul can be drained. This is the side of him that says no without guilt, that steps back from toxic people, and that refuses to let others take advantage of his giving nature. For example, imagine a colleague who always tries to dump extra work with the excuse, "You're so good at this." The monk might smile and stay calm, But the mercenary steps in and says, "Not today." Boundaries are his armor, and he wears them with confidence. Together, these two sides create balance. The monk fills his inner world with peace and meaning, while the mercenary makes sure no one robs him of it. Without the monk, he would become hardened and disconnected. Without the mercenary, he would become drained and used. With both, he becomes someone who can give to the world without losing himself in the process, and maybe that is the real lesson. Your soul needs care, but your life also needs boundaries. Ignore either one and you suffer. Protect both, and like the Sigma male, you live free and unshaken. Number 13, the monk gives him clarity, the mercenary gives him execution. That simple balance explains why Sigma males often succeed where others hesitate. One side helps him see clearly, the other ensures he does not get stuck only seeing. Clarity without action is like owning a map, but never taking the first step, while execution without clarity is like running full speed in the wrong direction. He carries both, which makes him dangerous in the best possible way. The monk is the inner lens that wipes away the fog. This is the side that helps him pause before reacting, that allows him to step back from the noise and see what is really going on. Think of it like cleaning a dirty window before deciding which way to go. Without clarity, decisions become messy. For example, someone insults him at work. Instead of lashing out, the monk in him slows the moment down and asks, "Is this about me, or is this person fighting their own storm?" That clarity stops him from wasting energy on battles that do not matter. But clarity alone is not enough. This is where the mercenary steps forward. Execution is what turns vision into reality. It is one thing to know what needs to be done, it is another to actually do it. The mercenary in him is the part that drafts the email nobody else dares to send, that walks away from a deal that looks shiny but smells rotten, or that takes the leap when others are still sitting around making excuses. Execution is the sword that gives weight to clarity. Together, the monk and mercenary form a rare duo. One clears his sight, the other moves his feet. Without the monk, he would charge into situations blindly. Without the mercenary, he would overthink until opportunities passed him by. With both, he becomes precise. He sees the path, then he walks it with purpose. And that is where the real power lies. Most people either see but never act, or act but never truly see. The Sigma male lives at the intersection of both, which is why he does not just dream of change, he makes it happen. In final words, what would life look like if you could master calmness and action at the same time? That is the secret of the Sigma male. Inside him live two different worlds, yet they work together instead of tearing him apart. The monk keeps him centered, rooted in values and untouched by the noise of shallow distractions. The mercenary keeps him sharp, ready to defend his space, and unafraid to strike when the moment calls for it. This balance is not easy. Most people lean too far one way. Some sit in endless reflection but never move. Others charge into battles without thinking and burn out too fast. The Sigma carries both sides in one body, and that is why he stands out. He does not just dream of peace, he also protects it. He does not just plan his future, he also takes the steps no one else is brave enough to take. Think about it in your own life. You have moments when you need the monk, the part of you that says, breathe, wait, think. And you have moments when you need the mercenary, the part of you that says, now is the time, act, move. The real wisdom is knowing when to call each one forward. That is where strength lives. So if you ever feel torn between silence and action, remind yourself that both can belong to you. You do not have to pick only one. Like the Sigma, you can live two lives in one body and become unstoppable because of it. The monk gives you peace. The mercenary gives you power. Together they make sure you are never lost and never controlled. Thank you for watching, gents, and God bless you.